Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Get Ready With Me and TV Bachelorette edition. This is week 9. Ladies and gentlemen, she was a drama-filled night, a drama-filled episode. It was intense, and I have lots of opinions about today's episode. This week was hometowns. It used to be, before COVID, that she would go to their town. Like, she would travel there, and then they would show them around, and then they would get to meet their family. So obviously due to COVID, it's the family travels to them and at the resort. And so anyways, long story short, it's hometowns and this is a big week. So because she's going to be meeting their families, like that can change a lot. So she's really excited but nervous. So Blake goes first. So he is from Hamilton, Canada, which is actually relatively close to where I'm from. And so like represent, this is a big reason why I like Blake. Like honestly, all 3 guys I really like. She has a great group of guys. I don't know how she's been making these decisions. Blake basically says he tried to bring Canada to her, which basically is what all the guys do. They just try to recreate their town to give her the best kind of experience. So they go into like this kind of hall type room and he's decorated it in like red and white. The flags are there and, bears and moose on the walls, all the like beavers and all the Canadian things. He like takes a shot of maple syrup. I feel like it's funny because when Canadians go on American reality shows, they make it seems so much more intense, like when it comes to like maple syrup. I mean, I don't know what he's doing, but I definitely don't have maple syrup on my nightside table. It was a little bit odd to me. But what was really cute about the date is that he actually has this dartboard. On the dartboard is balloons, and the balloons have actual like questions in them. So basically like you throw the dart, you pop a balloon, inside is truth or dare, and you have to either answer the question or do what it says. It was really cute. There was questions like, what's your biggest fear? And there was also like silly dares like, what's your favorite body part? And whatever it is, they had to like touch it on the other person. So like, Blake's like, I've got to, and he like grabs her butt and kisses her at the same time, like lips and butt. As I've said, you can obviously tell that they have that like physical chemistry, as much as it's obviously not just about that. It is important, and I think to the both of them, it's like more important than even some people, because they're both like quite openly sexual people. One of the questions he asked is, would you move to Canada? And she actually says, always a possibility. She goes, who knows? And then in an interview, she says, for love, she would move. I do have to say, I'm not saying it's Blake because she could be doing this for anybody who she chooses, but I do have her on Instagram, as I've said a few times, and she is moving. I saw her like post stuff about like packing and moving, and maybe she's just moving to a different place. I don't know. It doesn't mean that she's moving in with whoever she picks, but she is moving. So maybe she's moving to Canada. It was just like a lot of like kind of corny, fun Canadian things. They do seem more comfortable with each other than they have in past like dates. It doesn't seem awkward at all. They seem like they can both have a lot of fun and goof off, and she seems really comfortable with him. And vice versa. They play hockey, which is obviously like a big Canadian thing. So while they're playing hockey, actually Greg is out on his balcony and he can like hear them laughing, and he actually can see them. He does, share that it kind of scared him. He's really had a hard time with this process. I genuinely don't think that he really is like kind of meant to be in the process. He's having like a hard time, and it kind of, I think, spooked him. Like, I think it was just the fact that he saw it, and I mean I do get it. Seeing that would be like hard, of course. You're not really supposed to see somebody else's one-on-one. It's kind of, in my opinion, starting to get old. Like, I feel like every episode she has to like reassure him, and all the other guys are kind of just going with the process. But then I kind of see both sides, because at the same time, like, they also haven't seen that. Like, I think it was because he saw her with Blake. That would be hard. So I kind of felt bad for him. It was also kind of like, okay, man, like, why wouldn't you just leave the balcony then? So it's evening time for their date. and it's time for Katie to meet Blake's family. So it's his mom, his sister, and his brother are there. And they have loads of questions right off the bat. His mom and his sister, you didn't really see a whole lot with his brother, but the both of them seemed like really, really sweet women. So basically she asks Katie in front of Blake, like, how did you know you wanted to pursue him? And she says, like, right from the very first conversation they had, she was like, I had a connection with him. Blake's mom pulls her aside and they have like a one-on-one conversation. And she, you know, says she can tell that Blake is smitten. So she does ask, like, where are you at with Blake, considering there are two other guys? Katie's quite honest, and I feel like she's like that with everybody, which is such, you know, admirable quality. Just straight up tells him, you know, like, neither of us have said I love you, but we both kind of feel like we can get there. She says, you know, if it is me and Blake at the end, I really see it being forever, which is obviously what you want to hear. So they seem to really get along. There was no issues there. Blake's mom really seemed to like her. Yeah, like it went really, really well. So we already know this, but she did share with Blake's mom also that she says they both haven't said I love you, but she says, you know, the biggest reason I haven't said it is because she has decided not to say that to anybody until the end. I honestly respect it. And her mom seems to respect it as well. Or sorry, his mom seems to respect it as well. So Blake and his sister are talking and she seems quite blunt, like, which I kind of like, but she like in a kind way. And I think she has a good point. Like, now this is the one, she kind of says, like, you know, she's like, you went into Claire's season basically saying you were already in love with her. You were so sure it was her. And then she's like, and then that was over real quick. She goes, and then Tayshia comes in and, you know, you started to get to know her. And then you were at the point where you loved her. And so she was like, so what makes you so sure that it's Katie is the one? He basically says that he has never really felt that way about anybody, which is really cute. He's like, I've never really lined up with somebody so well. You know, he had shared that night that to his family that even just their outlook on life is so similar. They really are quite similar people. His sister just basically says, okay, so if you're so, because he says, like, I've never been so sure about anybody in my life. She's like, so if you're so sure, then, like, what's holding you back? Like, why aren't you, like, going full in? Why aren't you saying I love you? I wonder if he kind of is hesitant because he's already kind of been through this process with two separate people. And maybe he's worried that if it's not him, like maybe that's the one way of protecting himself. I don't know. His sister basically says, like, honestly, if you're so in, like, just go all in. Like, she gives him the advice, like, don't wait around too long because it could be too late. Then it's Blake and his mom's turn to talk. So she tells Blake she really likes him, or her, sorry. Asks Blake, you know, could you really see this as your wife? And he definitely seems really, really confident in that. And it is quite cute. Like, he really seems to like her. So again, just like his sister, his mom also tells him, like, you need to man up. You need to man up and you need to just tell her that you love her. Basically, I think he was planning on saying that he loved her, but I think he kind of chickened out. And all he says is, I feel so good about you, he says. And he's like, I really needed tonight, which I think she really responded well to. I don't think she really expected to be told I love you. I wonder if she was disappointed that he didn't say it, but they really seemed to grow through that day. Like, their relationship seemed even stronger after that date. So I think ultimately, even though he didn't say I love you, they seem to really have a good date. Like, it went well. So it's Justin's turn and you see him on the phone with his parents, and his parents actually weren't able to make it. I wondered, is it because they didn't like support the decision to be in this, you know, go through this process? Like, because they seemed quite judgmental and like they did not seem to really support the decision. Like, they were basically questioning how he could know that she is the one for him after that short period of time, and considering there's all those other men there. And I mean, I get their point. I mean, I'm sure I'd be feeling the same way, but it is kind of sad to see him not really get that same support that the other two guys got. Even though his parents weren't able to make it, his two best friends did. So he's from Baltimore, And so he has a horse and buggy that they ride through this like almost tour. And then he has like the iconic Baltimore sign, and they like take pictures at it. He has the like graffiti wall. You don't really see as much of their relationship as some of the other relationships. But you know what? Every time they are together and you know it's on the show, they do really seem quite compatible. Like they definitely have a fun time. He definitely, I think, comes out of his shell when he's around her. And I personally think they're really, really cute. So he is kind of like concerned, a little anxious that his parents can't make it. He tells her in the middle of their like day date, and he does, you know, break the news. He does say, my friends are here at least, blah, blah, blah. And in the interview, she does say she's a little bit disappointed. And she does say that she wishes she could have met his family. So then it's time for Katie to meet his two best friends. They definitely pick up on the fact that he is very into her. They do, you know, say that they don't normally see PDA, like he's not normally into that. He's not normally affectionate, and he was quite affectionate with her. Herb takes Katie to have like a one-on-one conversation, and he does, you know, question her as to why Justin stands out. And she does say they've always had really great chemistry. It's been like a bit of a slow burner. You know, it was one of her first connections, and it's kind of just gradually grown over time. And then she does say kind of after her one-on-one, it really kind of accelerated, and they really got deeper in the relationship. He does say that he is, Justin's normally pretty guarded when it comes to relationships. Justin and Herb are talking, and Justin seems like so excited about her. It's like he's like really trying to convince them like to like her, and he really seems like super, you know, excited. So Herb asks Justin if he said I love you, which we already know that Katie told him that they haven't. Justin does say no, and he says that, you know, man, I still have time. And Herb kind of interrupts him, and he's like, you have time, like you have 2 weeks. Justin basically says, you know, I don't want to force anything. I think he basically says like, yeah, I do feel that for her, but I don't want it to be forced. I want it to be in the right setting. I want it to be at the right time. I do really, you know, think that this Herb guy was a good friend. He seemed like he really genuinely had Justin's best interest at heart. He really like, he asked the hard questions, but like in the best way possible, you know, like he wanted to give Justin good advice, and he didn't want to just like go along with it just because it's his friend, but he did support them. So Justin does take her to talk at the end of the night, as they all do, and he actually does say he's been kind of pushing his feelings down as a, you know, a way to guard himself, but he says he doesn't want to do that anymore. And so he does say that he is falling for her, which was really, really cute. She obviously didn't say it back, but you know, they kiss. Honestly, I feel like every time her and Blake are together, I'm like, he's gonna win. I like him the best. He's my favorite. And then I see her and Justin together, and then I'm like, oh, I really want them to win. Like I genuinely would be happy with anybody winning. And it's Greg's turn. Greg's the last one. He grew up in Jersey. So Jersey, you know, being like a beach town, as he said, they start on a tandem bike, stop for pork rolls, which is a Jersey thing, I guess. I've never heard of them. They looked delicious though. There's like this big blow up thing. He's like, since I can't take you to the water, this is the closest thing. And it's funny because they're like in a desert, literally no water. And it's like this big blow up thing with a surfboard. So like they can pretend to surf. They really honestly both seem so smitten with each other. I honestly think that it's definitely the farthest along relationship. I think that they both are just like, I really think they both are in love with each other. He's the most open, he's the most vulnerable, and I wonder if that's maybe why she's so close with him. Like I definitely think that that's helped their relationship progress to the point that it's at. So then the next part of their date, he takes her to play some basketball. So he shares that, you know, when they had their first one-on-one, she took them fishing, and she did share with him right from the get-go, like he was the first one-on-one. And she did share with him on that date that was something that she and her dad did. And that's when she shared with him that, you know, her dad had passed. And that's definitely something that I think really helps them bond and understand each other on a deeper level. And so he wanted to do the same thing on his planned one-on-one date. He wanted to share something he did with his dad, which was basketball. So they play basketball together. It's super, super cute. I think it was really sentimental and more meaningful than just like whatever. He says, you know, he loved her one-on-one date. He did say that his favorite part was how she made it rain like Seattle. Like, how did they do that? Number one. And he goes, yeah, just so you know, it also rains in Jersey. And then it starts raining. Please tell me how this is happening, because it was like a wide frame. It's not like it's close up. Like, where is this rain coming from? Where is this rain coming from? How are they doing this? But it was, I got mascara on my eyelid. Just ignore that for a bit. But it was quite cute. I don't know, like kissing in the rain, it's like the sweetest thing. And she goes like, does it actually rain in Jersey? He's like, yeah, sometimes. It's time for Katie to meet Greg's family. So his mom, his best friend, and his brother are all there. So it was really cute because they had a photo of his dad. His sisters were not able to make it, unfortunately, but they did send a little video, which was really cute. You can really see how close he is with his family. Like, they seem like a very tight-knit family, saying, you know, they miss him and they wish they could be there, and his dad would be very proud of him. It was a bit of like an emotional scene. His nieces and nephews are even on it saying that they miss him, so it was really cute. It was quite emotional. Like, Greg was crying. So then it was time for Katie to have some one-on-one time with Joe, who is his brother. So Katie does say their connection was very immediate, and a big part of that was them sharing, you know, in really talking about both their mutual loss of their fathers. And his brother does say that she might be the first person he's really talked to about it with, because he says that Greg hasn't even really talked to him, his own brother, about it. So that's a big thing. Every single family member, like whether it was you know, Blake's mom and sister, it was also Justin's best friends, all of them have asked her, like, can you see yourself marrying so and so? And for Blake and for Justin, she gave the answer to both families that they could see themselves getting there. With Greg, when Greg's mom asked, she said she really can. And that's what really made me feel like I think he was the one for her. Like, she was saying things that basically were like, don't worry, we're almost there. Greg is talking to his best friend and he says, you know, he's never been so in love. He's super, super confident. And like I said, he's been quite insecure this whole process. Like, he's really, like, she's had to reassure him like the whole time. He's really seemed to have a difficult time. So to see him, like, he literally says to his friend, it will be me and her at the end. His mom does ask where she is with Greg when she talks to him. She basically does say that he's the top pick at this point. And that's when she says he will be here next week. Does ask about whether they love each other. And that's when Katie explains, you know, Greg has told me he's falling in love with me, but I've chosen not to share that with anybody until it's the end. And I really think she had great intentions with this. Like, I think, let's say at the end she picks him and then she says, I love you. It would mean so much more because she hasn't said it to anybody else. But if she went into the process saying it to whoever she felt these feelings for, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't mean as much. Greg and his mom talk. He says he hasn't been happy for the longest time, but Katie just like fills that void that he's had in his life and fills him with so much joy. He lost a major piece of himself. He feels that like he lost himself a bit when his dad died, which is understandable. And he does share that feels like she kind of filled this void, like kind of the same as what he shared with his mom. He says he hasn't been this vulnerable with anybody. He's obviously wanting to share this with her, but it does seem a little bit like, okay, now I'm waiting for you to say it. This is my opinion. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But I personally think that it was maybe a little bit uncomfortable for her in a sense, because knowing she's, you know, she knows that she's made this kind of promise to herself and commitment to herself that she's going to save that for the end. I think it's got to be awkward here, somebody who she flat out says she's falling in love with in interviews, but doesn't want to share that yet until she's picked the person. So I think, in my opinion, at this point, she knew she was going to pick Greg, but she wanted to respect the process and wait till the end. Respect that decision she had already made. But in his mind, I think it was like, well, if you know, then why can't you just give me that reassurance? I don't really know quite where his head was at in this point, because she says in response that she told his mom, you're going to be here next week. And she says, you know how I feel about you, right? Like it's kind of awkward at this point. And I do feel bad for both of them. Like I do feel bad for him because I think he really needed that reassurance. Like, I don't know if he necessarily needed her to say, I love you, but I think he wanted more. And I think she was really kind of holding back because I think she wanted to stay true to that like promise to herself. Within a second, gets flipped. His mood changes. He instantly looks pissed and uncomfortable. It's super awkward. She recognizes he's acting differently, and she kind of says like, I hate that I can't I feel like I can't make you feel better. And honestly, at this point, this is when my opinion of him changed. I don't like him anymore. I know. And I know I loved him since day one. He was honestly one of my absolute favorite men out of this whole season. But the way that he dealt with this situation was, in my opinion, extremely immature, and in my opinion, extremely hurtful. The way he was talking to her too, it was almost like he was treating her like a child. Like he's like, and why do you think I'm acting this way? And she's like, well, your body language. He's like, and why is that then? She's like, well, this whole situation, like to me, it's like, if you have something to say, then say it. It's just, it was kind of, I don't know, in a sense, like degrading maybe, for lack of better words, just like super awkward. And so she's like, I guess let's go outside. And they're kind of in this dark room. I think they were trying to have a private conversation, but like, hello, you're on a TV show. He was being a little bit selfish in that situation. Like, if you genuinely have an issue with how she dealt with that situation, if you didn't appreciate her response, you should have said I feel, and I know this is easier said than done, 100%, I get that. I personally think that he wasn't right for this show. Like, I think if they had have met outside the show, they would probably be together for the rest of their lives. But I think she's trusting the process. She's going through with the process, and he is not respecting that. He wanted her to basically say that you will be the one that I'm going to be with. And unfortunately, bro, you're on The Bachelorette. That's not how it's going to work. I honestly think that she was going to pick him, but he was ruining it for himself. You knew what you were getting into, and if you can't handle it, then hit the road, Jack. And she's even encouraging him in the conversation. She's like, just hold on. It's only a little, it was almost like she was telling him I'm going to pick you. We're almost at the end. And I think that almost pissed him off more, because he was like screw this process. I genuinely think he wanted her to just be no, I don't have anything with anybody else. It's me and you. But that's not fair, in my opinion. And also, if that's what you want from her, then say that. You can't expect her to read your mind. It was he was getting angry at her for her response, but he wasn't telling her what he needed. He just shut down the minute he heard what he didn't hear what he wanted to hear. And to me, that's a red flag. Okay, so when the serious conversations are happening, if she were to pick him and marry him, the serious stuff happens, because it gets a lot harder than that in marriage. You're gonna just get pissy and shut down. I do think she could have given him a little bit more. She was a little bit cold, but at the same time, you can understand that because she didn't want to say I love you yet, and it's hard. It's probably hard. Like she said, you know how I feel about you. That was basically her saying I love you without saying I love you. So I understand why he was upset. I just felt like he could have dealt with it better. That's how the night ends. She's like, I guess we'll go outside. It's super awkward. And she leaves, and it was super uncomfortable. So the next day, he's like, I just feel so wrong about what happened, and I'm so anxious about what happened. I'm so confused. And so he does go to talk to her, and she does seem really nervous. I think she kind of had an idea of what was coming. I think she's been scared this whole process that he's going to leave. He explains that he felt that after telling her he loved her, he's like, I told you you filled a void in my life, in my heart. And he's like, I felt you didn't even acknowledge it. He's like, I felt like you were giving me surface level responses. And she does apologize. She's like, I'm sorry if that's how I made you feel. She does say that, I don't know if I told you this, but I told your family that I'm waiting to tell, like the last man standing. I'm saving that for the person that I choose. And he does say he understands, but he still feels like she like almost like mowed over it and like didn't even really acknowledge it, which again, that's the part that I do understand. But as I said, it's the fact that how he reacted. He's like, I feel like after last night, I don't feel like you're you anymore. He's like, I feel like I'm talking to a stranger. And he's like, I don't care about the rose. He's like, I don't care about this process. Like, this is real for me. Like, it's not fair to expect her to completely ditch the whole process for you. Even if she was going to pick you, like, you have to trust her and trust the process. Like, she's basically was telling him, please, you just need to trust me. Like, completely put his guard up, completely shut down the minute he didn't hear what he wanted to hear. Like, to me, if you loved her how much you said you just loved her, then there's no way you would give up that easy. There's no possible way. You clearly did not love her like you said you did, if that's how easy it is for you to give up. It was basically just the fact that it was her response to what he told her. That's the only reason basically why he's done. That's what blows my mind. Like, how can you be done after one comment? You didn't even talk it through with her. You clearly lost trust in her, like within a snap of a finger. I don't think did anything wrong. Okay, maybe she could have said a little bit more, but like, come on. How many times have every single one of us as human beings been in a conversation where we maybe said the wrong thing or didn't say enough? And that's enough for you to like leave somebody that you said you loved? That's just immature and like not what I would want if I were her. Like, he leaves and he tells her he's done, like he's gone. And she chases after him. She tells him she's in shock. She doesn't know what to say. She's like, she's made it clear to him multiple times that if he leaves, she's done too. Like, what more do you want? She's basically telling you what you want to hear at this point, that it's going to be you. If she's going to leave after you leave, then clearly she was going to pick you. So I don't know. I really just don't understand. Like, how much more reassurance could you get than that? He says to her, I deserve more. I'm not happy in this process anymore and I'm done, and walks away. Honestly, after that situation, I dislike him. I don't like him anymore. She deserves better than that. I feel so bad for her because she was really upset. This is the scene where she storms off. She tells everybody she's done. She doesn't want to do this anymore. She's like, book me a ticket home. She locks herself in the bathroom. And then this is when Caitlin's outside her door. And she's like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Caitlin's like, I just want to really like be here for you. So she does let Caitlin in and they're talking. She's like, I've been telling myself that this is going to be worth it. And I keep telling myself that it's going to get easier. But like, when is it going to get easier? And she's like, she feels so blindsided. And Caitlin does try to encourage her. Honestly, I think she really just is like destroyed at this point. Then she finally goes into an interview and she's like, I feel like I officially lost Greg and he will not be coming back. And that really breaks my heart for her because I think she just was doing what she thought, like she was trying to follow the steps, doing everything right. And he just completely disrespected her experience and the process. She tells Caitlin she's done. She says she wants to go home, and that's where the episode ended. We see on the next on that her mom is there. Is it the time? I mean, I know fantasy suites would typically be next episode, but we usually have fantasy suites and then the finale, but next week is the finale. So I wonder if they're even going to have fantasy suites. Tayshia and Caitlin do tell Blake and Justin that something has happened that will completely change everything. So is that Greg left? Is it that they're just going to go straight into the final, which is like, how could you go from like bawling over somebody who you said you loved in an interview to then saying that you're going to go and get engaged to somebody? I don't know. I wonder if it's going to even end up in an engagement. Justin says in the next on, I hope he's not taking advantage of you. Like, is that Blake or is that Greg? Blake says if she's still hung up on Greg, then there's no point. I definitely can see how the guys would be a little bit concerned if she's like so emotional. Like, it would be like clearly she had that deep feelings. Like, that would be a little bit concerning. Will she even get to talk to Greg again? Like, is he gone? So this is my guess. I think she's gonna end up with Blake. I also saw an Instagram post that she posted a selfie and she says that she's in love. So I do think she ends up with somebody, and I do think it's Blake. But the question is, how do they get to that point? I think what's going to happen is she's going to obviously be super, super, super heartbroken, but then I think she's going to have like a realization, like clearly he didn't love me that much if he can leave this easy. And then I do think she's going to end up with Blake. How that episode's going to go, I have no idea, but I'm really, 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 really excited. Next week's the finale, so definitely watch the episode on Monday and then come back here on Thursday to see my take on the finale. I'm really excited. What do you guys think? Who do you think is going to win? What are your thoughts on this episode? I love to hear from you guys as well. Don't forget to comment below what your guess on this week's look is, what inspired today's look. Last week was the like red kind of sultry eye, and it was the men tell all last week, so there was like red dresses. Tasha and Caitlin were both wearing red dresses. There were roses everywhere. So it was kind of just all the red. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for next week. I'm super pumped to see who she ends up with. Okay, guys. So the moment you've all been waiting for, now that we've got the whole Get Ready With Me and TV, Bachelorette review, recap, whole shebang over with, I am here to announce the winner of the giveaway. This has been going on for the last 4 weeks. It's a beautiful little bundle of makeup that I love all the formulas, and I definitely recommend them all. So I'm really excited to be giving this away to one of you guys. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Drum roll, please. Yay! Kelly Saul, you are the winner of today's giveaway. Congratulations. I thank each and every one of you for supporting me over here on my channel. We are almost at the 1,000 subscribers. Congratulations, Kelly. You do have 48 hours to reach out to me. All of my contact information is down below, whether it's via email or over on DMs on Instagram. However you would like to reach out, you have 48 hours to do so. If not, I will be announcing a new winner. And if it comes to that, it will be over on my Instagram story. If you didn't win, keep an eye out on Instagram just in case I do announce a new winner. I just am really, really appreciative of each and every one of you that does subscribe, especially those of you that regularly watch and regularly comment. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed and have a wonderful day. Bye.